All right, I think we can get started. Everyone, my name is Sophia. I'm the Client Success Manager at ClickUp, and I want to welcome you all to our joint Front and ClickUp webinar. It's great to see so many people have been able to join us live today. We have just about 100 participants trickling in. I'm sure there will be lots more as the webinar kicks off. So again, I know that a lot of people are undergoing some strange professional changes right now, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here. On your Zoom menu bar, you'll also see an option to send us a chat message. So feel free to let us know where you're coming from. We'd love to give you a shout out and get a sense of where everyone's tuning in from. So just to give everybody some clarification about what this webinar is going to cover. Today we're going to be focusing on how you can utilize Front and ClickUp to reinforce remote team productivity. So again, I'm sure that many of you are dealing with at least some professional changes right now, and in general, communication that used to be face-to-face is now done online. It can be difficult to know what's going on in your company and track what people are working on as well as what's actually getting done. So my co-host Vishal and I will be taking some time to explain how ClickUp and Front can help to answer some of those questions. And the actual demo that we'll be leading probably won't take more than about 30 minutes. And at the end, we'll be leaving plenty of time for questions. A couple of housekeeping things to note. On your menu bar, the chat menu is a great place to chat internally with other attendees of the webinar. If you want to send a question to our support team, please do so in the Q&A tab. That's the area that we're going to be answering questions. We do have a client success representative online to monitor your questions. And so he will be assisting with those in the Q&A tab. And that's what I'll be checking out at the end to answer a couple of your questions live. And then at the end, for those of you that are able to stick around, at the end, a member of our ClickUp product team is going to be giving a sneak peek of what's coming as far as new ClickUp feature releases this week. So an exciting thing on the way. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce my co-host today, Vishal Vibhakar, who is a member of Front's marketing team. So Vishal, would you care to say hello and just give a quick summary of what Front is for people who may not know?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sophia. Can you hear me all right there?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This has been an awesome partnership. We've integrated our products, and we're really excited to showcase how that looks. And also, just I'm excited to speak today. It's amazing looking at these comments and seeing people from all over the world. It's like we have people from Ghana, South Africa, Dubai, India, France. Amazing. I'm in San Francisco, as you can see behind me, just right outside the Golden Gate Bridge. Sophia as well. And I'm from Front. I work on the marketing team. And if you don't know about Front, Front is a collaborative email software solution, and it's a better way for you to manage your email. We have a shared inbox feature if you need to manage a distribution list or your text messaging or any other like social channels. And then we have a lot of collaboration features that I'm going to get into that make it easy to work from home. So it's a great email tool to better manage your customer communications and as well as your internal coordination and collaboration across teams and departments. But yeah, I'll show a little bit more in just a couple of minutes. And thanks again, Sophia, for introducing me.
Yeah, of course. It's great to have you here, Vishal. And yeah, thanks for letting us know where some of you are all tuning in from. It's exciting to see people from all over the states and the world to learn more about ClickUp and Front. So I'm sure there are a good number of attendees who may not be familiar with ClickUp. So I'd like to briefly explain what our platform is before we get started. ClickUp is a collaboration and project management tool, which is suitable for businesses of all sizes and industries, and it can also be used for personal use cases. It's designed to bring all of the tools you use for communication, project planning, reporting, and more into one place so that you can reduce context switching and get things done faster. So I've actually pulled up ClickUp on my screen here, and I'm going to demo a few of the features ClickUp has to offer for you today. So as I mentioned, ClickUp is really designed to bring all of your different communication tools into one place. And the primary goal of our platform is to make work management easy and centralized so that everyone is on the same page, even if that's not at the same time or in the same place. So especially relevant with what we're all experiencing at the moment. There's lots of remote work going on. So in ClickUp, you can actually create tasks, and you can easily assign them to people on your team to get them done. You can even assign tasks to multiple people if you have a few people that need to work on a task. And you can also set start and due dates for your tasks to really hold yourself accountable for starting and completing them on time. Each of your tasks also will move through statuses. So these are the steps that your tasks will go through from when they're first created to when they're finally closed. And for those of you who might be new to management, the reason that these are so valuable is because they allow you to hold yourself accountable first for making progress on tasks, but they also help you communicate to others the task is on its way to actually getting done. ClickUp is also organized in a hierarchy structure, which makes it really, really easy to divvy up work by department, by team, and also to ensure that every single task and project has a proper place. So as you can see here, I've actually divided up my work in ClickUp by the different departments in my business. You could even create a special area to just keep track of your own personal tasks in a private ClickUp space. So there's flexibility in that you can share and work on items with all different team members, but you can also keep things private when you need to. Inside of a task, there are also plenty of ways that you can communicate with your teammates and keep track of smaller action items within a larger task. So as you can see here, I can move my task through its statuses. And I can also set a priority to show the level of urgency for a task that I'm working on. Inside of a task, underneath its title, you can also further clarify for your teammates what this task is all about. We have a really cool rich editing feature, which will actually allow you to add things like headers, checklists, bullet points, anything to really clarify to yourself and to others what needs to happen in this task. We also have a really cool custom field feature, which is perfect for keeping track of information in tasks that might not be immediately evident through the task title or the description. So things like the team that's involved in working on this task, or if you want to keep track of a budget with a custom field related to a task, or even just have a place where you can keep simple notes. All of those can be added through custom fields that will be neatly organized inside of your tasks and will also be visible in other views once you leave the task. You can also add subtasks and checklists inside of your tasks to keep track of smaller action items that need to get done related to the bigger picture. So in this case, I have a task to organize a team meeting that I'm working on, but I also need to follow up with some people after the meeting is complete. So I've created a subtask for my colleague to get that done. And for smaller to-do items that just need to be ticked off as we go, I can just create simple checklists. Any of these items can also be templated in ClickUp to reuse their structures later on. So for example, I can always save this task as a template, so I can create a new team meeting task at any time, which is going to prevent me from having to manually recreate the task over and over again. Of course, you'll also be able to add attachments inside of a task to keep track of things like docs, spreadsheets, anything that will add additional context to what's going on inside of the task. A key communication feature that you'll have in a task in ClickUp as well is the comment thread. So here I can actually chat with my teammates and trigger notifications that they should attend to this task. We even have a feature called the assigned comment. So if there's a comment within a task comment thread that I really want to make sure my teammate does not forget, that it won't slip through the cracks, I can actually assign that comment to my team member, and he or she will always see that they have that assigned comment wherever they are in ClickUp when they're looking at their tasks. So it's going to make sure that they'll see this comment and it won't actually disappear until it's physically resolved. So it's almost like creating a mini task inside of your bigger task. You can also hold yourself accountable inside of the task for any changes because you'll see our activity log. So anytime there's a change in the task, like an assignee added or a priority added, you'll be able to see that timestamp so you can get a history of all of the changes that have happened inside of the task. A really simple feature to, again, hold yourself and your teammates accountable, as I mentioned, is the start and due date feature, which you can set up here. And we even have a task tray option. So let's say, for example, I'm chatting with a teammate here and I get called away for some reason, but I don't want to lose track of this task. I can just use our task tray feature to drop that down to the bottom of my screen. And whenever I'm ready, I can click to open up that task. My comment will be waiting for me there, and I can pick up work where I left off. So remotely, sometimes it can be difficult to know where to start your day. You have to be a lot more driven to create your own agenda. One of my favorite things is to just pick a few assigned tasks that I have that I'm going to commit to working on that day. And I just drop them into my tray so that they'll be there top of mind and I can work on them whenever I have time that day. Just want to mention a few more key features to introduce you all to ClickUp. So it's important to note that ClickUp offers flexible ways to view all of your tasks. So right now I'm actually seeing my tasks in a list format, but I can shake this up and I can create different types of task views for different ways of viewing my tasks. So for example, I can view my tasks in a board view format. This is a nice option if you want to see your tasks arranged by statuses and make quick changes by dragging and dropping tasks between those statuses. You can even shake it up and add different column groupings in a board view if, for example, you wanted to see columns by due date. So I can keep track of overdue tasks as well as those due today and in the future. In a calendar view, I can see all of my scheduled ClickUp tasks and subtasks. If I have unscheduled tasks, they'll also be visible on the right-hand side of my screen. So whenever I have the bandwidth, I can actually drag and drop that onto my calendar in order to schedule the task and make any adjustments that I need to. Task for keeping track of your actual tasks, but for keeping track of higher level resources related to team projects, we have our page views features. So for example, I can create a high level chat view to have a discussion with my teammates outside of an individual task. So for example, if I want to have a discussion about all of my team meetings and suggested topics, I can create a chat view to manage that. And just like in our task comment thread, we can @mention people to get them involved in the conversation. With an embed view, you can embed literally anything into ClickUp, from a Google spreadsheet to a PowerPoint presentation to a landing page mockup that you're working on. So when you're onboarding your new team into ClickUp, you can embed a helpful PowerPoint slide presentation to show them what it's all about while they're actually interacting in the tool. And then lastly, we do have docs. Docs can be utilized to keep track of employee onboarding procedures, a playbook, or even sharing a project plan with a client. They can actually be shared with people outside of ClickUp as well. So you can create a standard doc that anyone can see, not just the people in your ClickUp workspace. So as you can see, there's a lot of granularity in ClickUp where you can work on individual tasks and have conversations about those smaller action items, but you can also take your productivity and conversation up a level and have chats and structures in place to manage larger projects. And the last thing that I want to mention before I pass this over to Vishal to tell us a little bit more about Front is a few of the other cool features that you can utilize in ClickUp. So we actually recently added an activity feed feature. So in any location, you can add a view to keep track at a higher level of everything that happened within that location. So I can see if there were start and due date changes, if there were comments added. All of this helps, especially people like managers, to get a high level overview of who's been active in the platform and what they've been doing. Related to team activity, we also just added our new Pulse view. So Pulse will give you a high-level overview of people's activity within ClickUp. So I can see who's been on or offline on a specific day, and I can track exactly when they were active. So it's a good way to see who's making good use of the tool and who might be working on other projects outside of ClickUp. And then I also wanted to mention our notifications feature. This is a key part of maintaining open collaboration and communication with your teammates in ClickUp. And it's one place that you can go to see notifications related to your most important tasks. So this is the first place that I go to in the morning when I get to work. I check my notifications and I can do things like reschedule some tasks that I need a little bit more time on. I can clear notifications that are no longer relevant to me, or I can even drop tasks into my tray to work on them later. Finally, keep in mind that the perfect place to go to manage your most important items is the home area. And this is also a new feature we released just last week. So here is your centralized place to work from. You can see what you have on the agenda for today, keep track of trending tasks that are important to you, and even check up on things like your own assigned comments. So it's a good place for the personal productivity items that you need to keep track of on your agenda. So that's a brief high-level overview of some of ClickUp's most important features, but now I'm going to pass screen sharing capability over to Vishal to talk a bit about Front.
Awesome, thanks, Sophia. That was super cool. Let me get set up right here. Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Cool. Thanks again for that intro of ClickUp. It's really cool to see some of those features that you mentioned, Sophia, especially like assignments and comments. For those of you that are new to Front and diehard ClickUp users, you'll find Front to be very similar when it comes to those features, those workflows, those interactions when you are collaborating with teammates. And again, if you are working remotely, how impactful some of those things can be, especially when you're not sitting right next to your teammate. So just to give you a brief, quick overview of how this all works. So this, what you're looking at right here is my Front inbox. On the left, you'll see my personal inbox and a couple of my tabs, for example. And then down here, you'll see our shared inboxes. And so shared inboxes in Front can be created in a multiple number of ways. You can use it for an alternative to your distribution list. So if you're using distribution lists like contact@company.com or hello@company.com, or even if you're using lists for your text messaging or even your social channels like Facebook and Twitter, you can bring all of those conversations into a shared inbox into Front. So as you can see here, this is our solutions engineering shared inbox. This is the frontapp.com shared inbox. You can see customer success. We even integrate with Drift. So your drip chats can pop into your front inbox, and then you can see a couple of other ones down here as well. The one I'm in right now is the demand generation shared inbox. I'm on the marketing team, so this is one of the inboxes that I'm using regularly. And here is where the emails are popping up. So similarly to if you're using Outlook or Google or Gmail, you have your left panel, your email body panel, and then this is the actual email that I'm clicking on. So if I'm hovering between this email and this one, it's popping up here. And then here on the very right is our side panel. And these are where all of our integrations are located. So here, for example, you can see our ClickUp integration. I won't log in and show you just yet. I'll let Sophia do that in the next section. But as you can see to the right, we're integrated with over 50 apps, including HubSpot, Salesforce, Guru, Jira, quite a few maybe popular ones that you're used to using. And so in this shared inbox, as I mentioned, instead of every single person receiving the exact same email, everyone on my team can have access to this shared inbox. And I could limit that restriction to whoever I'd like. So if I wanted just for my team, I could do that. If I want specific individuals also having access, I can pick and choose that as well. And so here's one email, for example. And as I mentioned, the ClickUp demo just reminds me so much of Front because of these collaboration features that make it especially easy when you're working remotely. So if you see at the bottom here, this comment bar, right? So for example, this is the email for the webinar today. Say I want to tag my colleague, Emily. Check out this. Right, I could tag Emily here and see all of a sudden up here to the top, she now has access to this email or is going to be notified that I've tagged her. Similarly to ClickUp, I can now assign this email to Emily. So now it actually pops out of this section, which is the unassigned section. She's been assigned that email. You can still see it here, but it's not in this view. And now she can see my comment and then comment back to me. But now it's in her inbox, so it's assigned for her. So for example, if I wanted to assign a specific message from a customer or a colleague that I thought she needs to handle, I could do that easily right here. And I could do this in two ways. I could do this manually, so you could see she's replying back. So I could do this manually just like I did here. And I could also do this automatically. And what I mean by that is that if an email, for example, is coming up from a specific customer like ClickUp, and all those replies are going to our shared inbox, and everyone on our team wants visibility into all the emails from ClickUp, but Emily is the person responsible for handling the ClickUp emails, I could set a rule that says that if an email is coming in from @clickup.com, for example, automatically assign it to Emily. And then even though it's no longer in this view, I could see it in the assigned view. So now everyone who has access to our shared inbox can also have access to the assigned emails as well. And so that way we have full visibility. If Emily responds to this email, I can track it. Others who have access to this inbox can track it. That way we can keep up with the customer interactions, making sure that nothing is slipping through the cracks, as well as let Emily handle it and get it out of our main view so we can kind of reduce that email flow. Some of the other tabs here are archived. We also have a snooze functionality. So say you don't have time to respond to it now, but you want to get it out of your inbox and you want to also get reminded about it later, you could actually snooze it. So you could pick a day and time to snooze this. Right now, you could see that this has been snoozed by my colleague Dan until May 8th at 8 a.m. And then there's obviously trash and spam as well. So that's some of the collaboration features that I think are super important. Another one is my colleague Joe just sent an email about our new Front Insider newsletter that we're about to launch. So say this is, I want to give Joe some feedback. I could actually, or I want to let Emily know, for example. I could actually just let Emily know, hey, what do you? I'm having a little trouble with my T, so I'm just gonna go without a T. And then I could share this draft with Emily before I'm actually gonna click send. So say, for example, you have new teammates and they're trying to get used to how your process and your workflow works. You could have them create these draft emails to potential colleagues or clients, share them with you. They can, on their end, edit it and then share it back with you. And you can, similar to like Google Docs, you can collaborate in real time on a specific email draft. You can even use canned responses. So here there's a bunch of different canned responses that you could preset. So you could do this if, say, you're getting a lot of requests from or similar requests from multiple people about, you know, your pricing or how specific things work in your product. Use these canned responses and makes your workflow a little bit faster. So those are some of the collaboration features that I wanted to discuss within this area. Next thing I wanted to talk about is our rules. Now, rules are one of our most powerful functions in ClickUp. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier when I said that, for example, if an email is coming in from ClickUp and I want Emily to handle it, I could create a rule that says, if emails coming from ClickUp.com, assign it to Emily. Here's how that would work. So it'd be like, for example, when an inbound message and the from is team at, and this is the subject, then assign it to the specific person, move it to the specific inbox. I could even add a notification, and I can even add a tag as well, and I'll go into tags in a second. So rules are a very powerful way for you to automate your workflow, especially if you're working in a collaborative environment. It makes things a lot faster. Then there's tags. And so tags, think of them as like labels, right? So if I want to create a tag for all my campaigns, I could create a tag. Tag in rules, I think of them at like peanut butter and jelly. I could create a rule, for example, that says that if an email hasn't been responded to, so if you're working, for example, on a support team or in very time-sensitive emails, you create a rule that says if an email hasn't been responded to within 20 minutes, add a tag that says urgent. And that way, this can make it easy for you to filter through all of your emails, understand which ones need to get responded to right away. You could even create a notification to a specific teammate, notify Sophia that an urgent tag has been added to this email. That way Sophia can get to it right away. Some other ways for remote productivity is you can create shifts. So if you have multiple people working and you want certain emails to get assigned to them based off of their shift, you could set up shifts for each of your teammates, and then depending on who's available at that time, you could automate emails to get assigned to those teammates that are working during those shifts. And yeah, so those are some of the main features. And now let me go into basically, I would say, my favorite feature, and that's our analytics section. And I think this is a really powerful way to understand, how your business, how your team is performing, what the workload is like, what are your busiest days of the week and busiest times. So here you could see the number of conversations that are coming in, the total messages received, your busiest day. Now up here you see this on a conversation level. Here you could see this on a per team level. So that way you could see how individual people are performing. How quickly are individuals responding and reacting to certain emails? How many replies are being sent? So if you have like a sales team and that's a crucial metric that you want to monitor, you could see that. And then you could see kind of like how each teammate's performing. And a big part of this is to understand like staffing. When are your busiest periods of the week? When are your busiest hours? When do you need to heavily staff or keep things on the lighter side of things? And then better understand, how you can plan out your week based off of that. And so here's some other sorts of analytics that you can check out. And I think this is really a great way to get a good sense of how your business is performing. So yeah, that's basically some of the main things that I wanted to cover. Here, as you can see, I shared that draft with Emily. She made some edits. She gave me the thumbs up. I could go back in here, click edit, change it from me, and now the email sent from me, and she's given the thumbs up. Sophia, I think I'm ready to hand it over back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Vishal. That was really awesome to see front in action. Um, so now I just want to take a little bit of time to explain how you can bring these two tools together um, via our front and ClickUp integration. So we actually use Front internally at ClickUp to handle client email requests. And this integration makes it really easy to create quick tasks from client reported issues that we can take action on in ClickUp. So the integration's pretty simple, and it's going to be, as Vishal mentioned, an option that can be enabled in your front sidebar menu here. And there are essentially two main actions that you can take via this integration once it's set up. So the first is to attach a front ticket that you receive to an existing ClickUp task. And this is a really great way to link, let's say, a client bug report that they send in via email. Let's say in ClickUp, you've created a task to actually address that same bug that they've written in on. It's a related. I can either copy that link from ClickUp, and I can just paste that link to actually attach that task to my front ticket here. Or you can actually just search for the task by name. So now as our technical team members can actually look at this, and they'll be able to see in one place how this client ticket relates to a task in ClickUp. And they can even jump directly to that ClickUp task from front. So I can check up without doing too much context switching at all on where this task is status-wise. Are we getting close to completing it, or do we have a ways to go? And I can even see that link to the front conversation has been posted in my ClickUp task. So this is, of course, a really great way for anyone in a customer support situation to keep emails from clients linked to whatever you're working on to resolve that issue in ClickUp. But you can also use it for something like keeping track of promising sales leads. So if a promising lead contacts you via email and you have a task to follow up with promising leads in ClickUp, you can just quickly link that task over to that existing task that you have in ClickUp. The other thing that you can do via the front ClickUp integration is, of course, create a new task. So if a client writes in an email and they say that they report a new issue to you, or maybe a client emails you to ask you to provide a service, you can create a new task based on that front ticket, which will be added to the location of your choice inside of your ClickUp workspace. And when you create the new task from front, you can add lots of information via the little integration pop-up. So we can add a description to tell our teammates in ClickUp what this is about. If you want, you can also add the content of the conversation into the task description here. I can also do things like set a due date for when this task should be completed and indicate who should be assigned to that task. That looks a little bit better. So once I've created that task, I get a little pop-up that it's been successfully created, and it's now linked to that ticket in front. And again, I can jump right to that new task that I just made in ClickUp. So it really streamlines any communication gaps and allows you to get a firsthand insight into what that front ticket was all about and jump back to the conversation as needed at any time. As you get more comfortable with quick creating these tasks in ClickUp, you may also find that you want to save a favorite destination to add new tasks, or set a default destination for the most important area that you're going to be working on in ClickUp. And those are a few customizable personal options that you can enable via this integration. So again, we use this in our customer support team, but it can be used by a variety of different teams in any organization, from sales to even freelancers who are just managing client emails that come in and they want to quick create some action items for themselves in ClickUp. So that's a brief overview of how the actual integration works with ClickUp and Front. Vishal, did you have any other thoughts regarding best practices, or are we ready to jump into the Q&A section?
No, I thought that was great. There's a lot of really great questions, so I think it would be great if we just jump right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So now I'd like to take some time and open up our Q&A tab and answer some of your questions. So we do have a question from Cheryl. Can I take tags in Front and connect them to tags in ClickUp? So front tags are actually completely distinct from ClickUp tags. That's a great suggestion, but these would be actually related to flagging the ticket in Front. That's a great suggestion, though, for future release of this integration, to maybe add some tags when you create a new task in ClickUp, but it's not possible just yet.
Yeah, I love that idea. Right now, the way to think about tags in Front is like folders, although it's like similar to the way ClickUp uses tags. So that's kind of how I think about it, but I love that idea, and I think we should talk more about that, Sophia.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion for the future. We do have a question from Jamie. Would we be able to see an example of a recurring setting, such as one for a recurring team meeting? And can you change/add to descriptions, subtasks, etc. for a single instance only without other instances changing? Yeah, that's a great question, and definitely a bit more advanced than a lot of beginners might be familiar with, but if those of you who aren't really familiar with project management are a bit confused as to Jamie's question, this is regarding creating a repeat task, what we call a recurring task in ClickUp. And this will actually allow you to tell ClickUp to automatically create a task repeatedly for you at a set interval. And it's a really useful feature to save yourself time. Like, for example, if I have a Monday morning meeting task that I need to have open for me every Monday, rather than creating that manually over and over again, I can just tell ClickUp to do that for me. So to set up a recurring task in ClickUp, you just open it up, click on the due date icon, and click Set Recurring. And you will have a few options as to the time scale that you want the recurrence to happen in. So I can do a daily task, weekly, all the way out to a periodical or custom recurrent schedule. So let's say this is going to be my weekly meeting. When my task is set to my closed status, that's when I'm going to actually have the task recur. And then the best way to change or add to descriptions over time, or only rather only once and not affect other recurrences in the pattern, would be to click Create New Task, which is going to generate a new task recurrence, or it's going to generate a new copied task upon each recurrence, rather than if I uncheck that box, all of the recurrences are going to take place in this same task window. And you can choose what you want to carry over. So if, for example, in the new task, every time it recurs, if you want to have a fresh description so that you can mess around with that intermittently and not affect future recurrences, you can do that. There is an advanced legacy recurring setting as well, which Jamie, this might be a bit advanced for this webinar, but if you have questions about this, you can certainly reach out to our support team. But in this case, you can choose from which task you want to copy everything over. So that would be the solution, to be able to make changes to just one instance and not all of the others. But again, something we can certainly assist you with after the webinar via a support ticket. Let's see. Patrick, you ask, how does text channel work? Do we need a separate plan with Twilio? And is it included in starter plan? Vishal, do you have any insight into what this question is about?
Yes, yes. So yeah, you will need a separate plan with Twilio. So we integrate with Twilio. So you basically use a Twilio number, and then you connect that with the shared inbox in front. I need to double check on the plan that it's on, but I'll get back to you on that. I do not believe it is on starter though, but we just switched up our plans. So I want to confirm that first before I share that information, but I can follow up with you on that.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have quite a few front specific questions. So gonna make an effort to prioritize some of those questions. Let's see. Justin, feel free to chime in if there are any specifically that are coming to mind for you. But well, one question that's right at the top here that I'm seeing is from Tanner. Are you able to adjust the ClickUp status of the task directly from Front? That is a good question. I do not believe that you can. It would, but let's just test this. So you can get a preview of what the status of that task is, but in order to actually change it, you'd need to open it up and change the status from the task itself. And let's see, Wheel, you ask, is there a YouTube area for Front? And Vishal, I assume that there are definitely YouTube videos out there to explain how Front works, but do you want to talk to that?
Yes, let me share it in the channel right now. We have actually, this would be better. Let me link to our page for how it works, and there's a video you could watch. Should I put that in the chat or the Q&A section?
It would be great if you could post it in the Q&A area. Wheel is the user that is asking about that.
Yes. Okay, great.
And Sam, you ask, can multiple ClickUp tasks be assigned to the same Front app conversation? For example, you may have an FA email conversation discussing multiple action items simultaneously, which exist in ClickUp as several tasks/subtasks. So you can certainly link multiple tasks to the same Front ticket. I've actually done that here, and you can see that actually all of my emails in Front are from Matilda Collin. So if I link a task to her person here, and I link another task to her account here, I'm always going to see the related ClickUp tasks for this client in the integration, but I can add multiple ones if needed if I'm working on a few tasks related to the same client. Let's see. Angela, you ask, is there a reply after you've created a task? Can the additional conversation notes be added to the task automatically? So at this time, no, there is not a way to reply directly to a conversation from a ClickUp task, or after you've created if you've created a ClickUp task in relation to a client Front ticket, there won't be an automatic response sent to the client to indicate them the task is created. You would need to reply to them manually. But again, you will be able to always link back to Front conversations that you've linked from ClickUp, so you can quickly respond to them there. But that would be necessary in order to follow up with the client in Front. Trying to find some ones for Vishal to answer. I see, I'm trying to make sure that everyone gets at least one or two questions answered. How about Vishal, there's a question that says, can you create a template task from Front? If so, we have a process that needs to be kicked off from a client email. Do you want to take that one?
So a template task, is that in relation to the integration?
Um,
Specific.
yeah, Angela, perhaps if you'd like to add a little bit more clarification, but I'm wondering if it could be a template process
Yeah,
in Front.
I think what it could be related to is like creating those roles. And we do have templates. We have what we call recipes. So it's super easy where you can just really almost instantaneously activate it. But you could also create one brand new yourself. And it's pretty, I would say, intuitive in terms of, and simple in terms of like how to get it set up. And so if it's something as basic as if a message is coming in from so-and-so, or if it hasn't been responded to in a certain time, add a tag, notify a specific person, bring it to the top of your inbox, things like that. But we do have these recipes, especially if you have SLAs where you need to respond to your customers within a specific amount of time. You can kind of turn those on and off pretty easily and make whatever tweaks and adjustments that are specific for your own use case. The other thing to answer a previous question I wanted to bring up about the Twilio, I just got the answer. It's only available right now on our Prime and Enterprise plans if you wanted to integrate with Twilio and bring your text messaging inside of Front.
Mm-hmm. We have another question from Chris. You're asking, how would I cancel making a task via Front? It doesn't let me get out. Probably would need to get a bit more insight into your specific situation on this, Chris. So if you're having issues with this, we'd love to hear from you via email at help@clickup.com, and we can assist you in looking into that. Looking into some other questions. There's one, did you have one, Vishal, that you wanted to answer?
Yeah, there was one from Cheryl, if you don't mind, Sophia, that I want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Does this mean if we go over 24 hours to reply to a ticket, we can create a rule to auto reply and say we have your ticket, we're running a little behind, we'll get to you in X hours? Yes, exactly. So I mentioned those canned responses. You can set up these canned responses with rules. So typically the way a lot of our customers are doing it, say they have a 24-hour SLA, they'll create a rule where if something hasn't been responded to within 22 hours, just to give them a buffer, send a message or notify a specific person, let them know you're running a little behind. So you could even create a rule where it's like if it's 20 minutes before 24 hours or before, a 24-hour period has passed, let them know that we're running a little behind and we'll get back to you in 6 hours, whatever it may be. And you could automate that entire process.
Awesome. So we'll take two more questions, and then I'm going to ask my colleague Justin from the ClickUp product team to jump in and give us a bit of a hint about what's coming for new ClickUp features this week. So Angela, I see that you elaborated a bit on your question. If a client emails in through Front and I want to create a task in ClickUp, can I create this using a template so that all the subtasks/to-dos are predefined for a user in ClickUp to start the process? Thank you for the clarification. It is not currently possible to create a new task via a ClickUp template in the integration, but also a great suggestion, which we'll be sure to consider in the future.
And I'll just jump in on that one. Claire did just answer that question. What you could do instead is set up an automation within ClickUp. So when your new task is coming into a list, the list can be looking for new tasks, and once a new task is found, it can automatically apply a template. So that could be another way of doing that.
Mm-hmm. And if you're interested in learning more about that automation feature that Justin mentioned, if you go to ClickUp.com webinar, you can actually check out our pre-recorded automation feature webinar and learn more about how that feature works. We'll take one more question from Danica. You ask, is there a task overview in ClickUp by date? to identify larger tasks that should be started on. There are a variety of ways that you can zoom in on tasks by date or by high priority to decide what's being done first. We do have a sorting and filtering feature. So for example, if I wanted to filter by my tasks that are of urgent priority so I can get those done immediately, I can filter by priority. I can also do things like sorting by due date to see my most imminently due tasks at the top of my view to work on those. So with our sorting and filtering features, that's an easy way to zoom in on those tasks. You can also always check out your inbox to see your assigned tasks grouped by due date. So I can see what's coming up for me today, this week, and in the future. So inbox is a good place to prioritize your personal work. All right, so thank you all for attending the webinar. I would just like to now introduce my colleague, Justin. I'll pass screen sharing over to him so he can share a bit more about what's coming up for ClickUp this week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Sophia. I'm just going to share my screen here, and hopefully you'll all be able to see. So what we're working on, and we're always
Sorry,
working
I'm
on
not
new
able
features.
to see, Justin.
That's all good. Hopefully now.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we're always working on new features, new things that could be helpful. So what we're currently working on is the ability to do threaded replies. So if you've ever had a comment on a task that you wanted to kind of talk to directly, rather than having to create a new comment, we're now trying to input that ability. So you can see here, someone has made a comment. I think there's just some Latin. And then we've said, okay, we actually want to respond to that. We can do so right in line here. So we can simply click this reply to thread button and then add a new comment there. So this is just a design mock-up currently of what we're expecting it will look like. Same features available here, still got a signed comment up the top. Okay, next one. If you were perhaps working on a picture and you wanted to say, maybe identify which parts of the picture needed changes, this is very helpful in like design workflows, even if you're working on kind of like a website or something you could just take a screenshot of or a web clip of and say, okay, this bit needs to change, this bit needs to stay the same. But you want to be more specific. It can be very hard to describe in words which part of the picture you're talking about. So now, as you can see here with all these spots, you can simply drop a marker, and that will then create a comment with that number beside it. So for example, we have a comment about point 14, which I can't actually find right now. I think this is just a design one, so we've got too many 15s and no 14. But anyway, it's just a picture. And then again, we have threaded comments within those. So you can have a discussion about each point and then eventually resolve it once it's kind of dealt with. So those are some features that we're working on, and they actually have an expected release date of tomorrow. So look forward to that. Cool, and that's it. That's all I've got for this week.
Great. Thank you
Pass
so
back
much,
over to
Justin.
Sophia.
Thank you for sharing those feature updates with us. And again, I just wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to attend the webinar today. I hope that you were able to glean some useful information about Front and ClickUp and how they can improve your remote productivity. You will be sent a recording of this webinar after it's over. We will also be posting a recording of the webinar within about 24 hours on clickup.com/webinar. So you can go there to watch it at any time or to share it with others. Also, I want to thank my co-host Vishal for attending today. So thanks so much for your time as well.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia. I'm so happy that we got to do this, and I'm really excited about the integration. We got a lot of really good ideas today to make it even better, but this is just awesome partnering with your team today.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And before I sign off with my final thoughts, did you want to tell people where they can reach out to you to learn more about Front?
Yes. So I put it in the chat. You can email me at vishal@frontapp.com. That's V as in Victor, ISHAL @frontapp.com. Let me know if you have any questions. Sorry if we missed any of your questions. There's so many good ones, so I hope we got through most of them. But if we didn't get a chance to do it, please reach out and I'll definitely get you the answer. And yeah, no closing thoughts. Just hope everyone is staying safe, staying healthy at home. I hope we've been able to show you some really great tips and tricks for improving remote productivity. It's really great to be able to unite with this audience from all over the world and feel a little bit more connected today than I have probably recently.
Yeah, I can definitely concur with that. Just one final thought on my end as well. I do apologize if we didn't get to your question today, but we're more than happy to offer assistance as you continue to explore Front and ClickUp. And I wanted to note that if you already do have a ClickUp workspace set up, you'll be able to contact our support team at any time by clicking the help button here. So you can start a chat with us or reach out to us via email at help@clickup.com, and one of our support reps will be more than happy to help. But with that, everybody stay healthy, and thank you again for your time. Have a great rest of your day.